I give you Wandavision.
Marvel Studios' first original series arrives on Disney+.
We just don't know what to expect.
In 5 days,
Something's wrong here, Wanda.
the universe
The Avengers.
is expanding.
We have everything under control.
Welcome back, everyone. This is going to be my new WandaVision video. They gave away the first 3 episodes to people to check out and do early reviews for. So we'll do a breakdown of that and explain what Kevin Feige said about the series during all of his interviews. He had some funny things to say about Marvel Phase 4, Marvel Phase 5, the X-Men, the mutants of it all. There was a lot that he said and a lot that he did not say or said that he could not talk about because of big spoilers. He didn't want to pull a full Tom Holland or Mark Ruffalo. But I'll be doing videos for all the episodes, so be sure to subscribe to get everything. This is going to be the year where Marvel almost has a brand new show or brand new episode every single week all year long. It's going to be crazy. 2021 already so much better than 2020. We'll also do a giveaway for Disney Plus memberships. All you have to do to enter is just be a subscriber and let me know what kind of X-Men Easter eggs you want to see during WandaVision. So one of the biggest things that we actually found out is that the first 3 episodes are actually only 30 minutes each, way shorter. The later episodes get a little bit longer, but it's basically just like The Mandalorian. Only WandaVision is 9 episodes instead of the 8 that The Mandalorian had. All the different Marvel Disney Plus series will have different episode counts. They won't all be exactly the same, but when we get to Falcon and Winter Soldier episodes and then Loki episodes and the rest of the shows later this year, I wouldn't be surprised if all the Marvel Disney Plus series are mostly the same in that regard, in that all the episodes are going to be around the same length as the Mandalorian episodes. Like they're just programmed for that particular length because of the amount of money that they spend on the series. The other big reason why the first couple of episodes are so short is because they're doing the sitcom tropes and they want to be as period specific as possible, as accurate to what it would have been had they been making the TV shows back during the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s, and so on. And during those eras of television, sitcoms were traditionally only 30 minutes long, sometimes even less than that because of all the commercials. And speaking of commercials, this is actually pretty cool. To be as accurate to the period as possible for each of the different sitcoms that they were parodying, the WandaVision episodes do include classic sitcom commercials during the episodes. But the whole thing is the ads themselves are meant to be clues and Easter eggs for the story, like other stuff will be happening during the commercials while they're also selling you products that are supposed to be specific to each of those different decades. Like the commercials themselves are mostly more meta commentary for the story with a bunch of Marvel Avengers Easter eggs. Like obviously this is all a fake reality around her. We know what's real, we the audience, but she and Vision are actually buying into the lie as if they actually were living inside a sitcom and they didn't know that they were inside a sitcom. I did a Loki trailer video a little while ago talking about how there's a bunch of Rick and Morty references and stuff that they're borrowing from that series in the way they made the Loki episodes, but they're also kind of doing that within the WandaVision series as well, where say like in Rick and Morty, Rick knows that he's inside a television show. He can break the fourth wall in that way. There are moments during WandaVision where you start to see that, like the reality cracking around her, this House of M style reality that she creates for herself. So even though it seems like she's completely drunk her own Kool-Aid, so to speak, like, oh wow, this life that I'm living is so amazing that I'm creating around me, she also at times does acknowledge that she's inside a fake reality. It's just that it's so funny to watch commercials from that era, the 50s, 60s, and 70s, like the I Love Lucy commercials. Because there's so much sitcom stuff happening during the first part of this series, they actually got Jaleel White to moderate their panel. That's right, Steve Urkel from Family Matters, one of the most notable 90s sitcoms, actually did the Marvel panel. And one of the other reasons why they dropped the first 3 episodes is because most of those are heavy with the sitcom tropes, and only part of the series will be doing the sitcom thing before it kind of turns into this bigger Avengers WTF event series. Kevin Feige actually said the way they market the series, the way they're selling it to everyone with all the trailers, the way they're billing this out, was heavily influenced by the way The Mandalorian and the Star Wars people sold that show. He said that they did such a good job of billing that as a huge event series that it's completely influenced the way that they're selling all these Marvel Disney Plus shows to audiences. The exception to that, obviously, is that WandaVision, they're just billing as this super weird series in the best possible way. The weirdest thing you've ever seen the MCU do. It's sort of like the Legion TV show on FX. Obviously, that was an X-Men TV show inside the Marvel Universe, but it was being made by Jeff Loeb and the Marvel TV people, not by the Marvel Studios people and Kevin Feige. Now the difference is that all the TV shows are coming from Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios, the movie people. That's why all the movie actors are coming back to play their characters. But WandaVision is very much a Legion type of TV show where you're not quite sure what's real at times, and they play with perspective and people's viewpoints, only because this is obviously all about Scarlet Witch and Vision. It's mostly from Scarlet Witch's perspective. That's why they call the TV series WandaVision. It is literally her vision as she's watching all these things. But obviously the title is also a reference to a couple other things like Wanda and Vision because it's their life together, referencing the comic book that was all about their relationship. But also the sitcom-y tropes of the decade like WandaVision, Intellivision, you're watching TV, like the name of actual TV sets. And even though they're doing a lot of the sitcom stuff and it seems kind of silly, it does go dark at times when they start referencing a lot of Twilight Zone tropes from the Rod Serling version of the TV show, the classic Twilight Zone. And I referenced the Legion X-Men TV show. When asked about all the Marvel Phase 4, X-Men, mutant stuff of it all, Kevin Feige wasn't very forthcoming. He didn't want to give away too many big spoilers. Like I said, he doesn't want to join the spoiler bros with Tom Holland, Mark Ruffalo, and now Chris Pratt apparently too. But overall, the creators did acknowledge that the series borrows aspects of all the biggest Scarlet Witch comic book runs through the Avengers, the Vision Scarlet Witch miniseries that covered their relationship, the birth of their children, as we see during all the trailers, the White Vision resurrection storyline where they brought him back to life, Avengers Disassembled, where she starts to go a little bit nuts, then full-blown House of M, where she creates a whole separate reality for herself, and the follow-up sequel story to that at the ending, where reality starts to crack around her and crumble until she finally utters her famous "No More Mutants" line. So in that same way, her storyline through the episodes progresses like her storyline through Marvel Comics. But the series isn't adapting exact versions of those stories, just aspects of them. So if there are scenes or Easter eggs that seem like they're referencing those big comic book stories, it's completely intentional. Like even Elizabeth Olsen, when she was going on the talk shows in the last week, was asked about the wine bottle House of M Easter egg, and she's like, that would be very clever if our prop master and our set designer did that. Like she's saying, I can't give away spoilers, but yes, that's totally intentional. I know a lot of you have been asking about Quicksilver showing up during the series. Well, the whole thing with this series is that they're addressing all the storyline. They're dealing with all the past trauma that they never had the time to do in the other big Avengers movies. Like after he dies during Avengers Age of Ultron, you see her just completely lose it briefly, but then in sort of the post-credit scenes, they never really address it, and they never address it again during Captain America Civil War, or Avengers Infinity War, or Avengers Endgame. So one of the reasons why WandaVision was one of the first series that they wanted to do during Marvel Phase 4 is because there was just so much of her story that had been untold in the MCU movies. All the actors are fantastic. I mean, you've seen Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany in all the Avengers movies. You've seen their other movies as well, too, so you know what they're capable of. But Monica Rambeau, the way they treated the Agnes character, who's basically their version of Agatha Harkness from the comics, they were all fantastic. Like, Catherine Hahn is amazing. She fits perfectly into all the tropey sitcom stuff, but also works really well when the series goes full-blown crazy town Avengers level. Thinking about further on X-Men stuff happening in the MCU, Kevin Feige was asked when Marvel Phase 4 is supposed to end, because they've announced so many movies and so many TV shows, people want to know when is Phase 4 ending and when does Marvel Phase 5 begin, because Marvel Phase 5 is really when people expect to see the new rebooted versions of all the X-Men characters. And typically, each phase of Marvel movies has ended with a big Avengers team-up film, like the first Avengers movie, Avengers Age of Ultron, Avengers Infinity War, and Avengers Endgame. And as you can see here, Avengers 5 isn't anywhere on their current movie release schedule, so people are just wondering when the transition is going to happen. Feige basically did his version of the old man Captain America meme. No, I don't think I will tell you when that's going to happen. My assumption, based on a lot of the castings and the rumors for the movies that are later in the schedule that we know about, like Black Panther 2, the new Fantastic Four movie, is that Marvel Phase 5 will begin around those movies, particularly the new Fantastic Four movie, either at the end of that or at the beginning of that. And during Marvel Phase 5, that's when we will see the full-blown rebooted X-Men MCU movie with new versions of the characters. Deadpool 3 is kind of an exception to that because it's going to be a little bubble of its own continuity, technically part of the MCU, but also technically kind of doing its own thing. The only reason why they can get away with that with the Deadpool character is because he can comment on a lot of the inconsistencies, like he can actually make jokes about the MCU and whether or not he's in the MCU. But I think they've done a fantastic job with marketing the series and hyping up how weird it's going to be so that people aren't surprised when they go into the first couple of episodes and it gets really, really weird. And even though Kevin Feige confirmed big crossover with Doctor Strange 2 Multiverse of Madness, he wouldn't give too much away about exactly how that leads up to Doctor Strange 2. But when they actually start releasing the episodes to everyone and I do my full episode videos, I'll start pointing those Easter eggs out. Things referencing the multiverse and how that's all going to spill into the other Marvel Phase 4 movies and influence the plot of what's happening during Marvel Phase 4 in general. This Friday, both Episode 1 and Episode 2 will be released at the same time, so I don't know if I'm going to do my Episode 1 and 2 video together as a super video, or I'll break that up into 2 pieces, but as long as you have alerts enabled for my channel, you'll see all those episode videos. It'll be just like the Mandalorian series. So leave all your requests in the comments below. I'll name a giveaway winner when I post my next big Marvel video. Everyone click here for that WandaVision Episode 1 opening scene video. And for all you Avatar: The Last Airbender fans, there's been talk of a new animated series happening. Click here to learn all about that. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe and Happy New Year.